Hello, welcome to MTG Pro Tutor. I am Sean Pennard, your host, and today we are going to open this Cons of Tarkir booster pack. This is the first one of many Cons of Tarkir booster packs to come, so let's dive on in and see what we get. So this is a new set. It is a triple color set, which means it's going to be really interesting evaluating these cards. I always take out the marketing card, which in this case is a warrior token, and then I take out the land. And then I always look at the rare first. We have, alright, look at that. Our first one is a Fetchland. Super cool. So this is the Wooded Foothills. You can pay a life, tap it, and sacrifice it to search for a mountain or a forest. So I'm very excited to get this Fetchland, don't get me wrong. However, in Cons of Tarkir, in Limited rather, we don't know what colors we're going to be in. So taking this early on is a bit of a risk. Now with a 3-color set, you definitely do want some mana fixing, but you don't know what mana to fix until you actually get some cards. So you should be careful about taking these cards first. If you're going for money, go for money. But if you're going to win, then the fetch lands aren't necessarily great first picks. So keep that in mind. I'm super excited though, especially after our finale pack of M15 was such a downer. I'm glad that our inaugural pack of Cons of Tarkir is good. So, Feat of Resistance is an instant for 2 mana. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So this is really good because it gives you a +1/+1 counter at instant speed, especially in an Outlast deck where creatures with +1/+1 counters get some kind of buff or some other kind of bonus. You can really, pile on surprise bonuses on a creature that doesn't have a +1/+1 counter yet. So I like that. That's a pretty neat little combat trick, and it's pretty cheap. Alright, here's your Shatter. Destroy target artifact for 2 mana. Bitter Revelation, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. You lose 2 life. So this costs 4 mana. This will be good in a Delve deck where you're trying to get cards into your graveyard. Force Away is for 2 mana, an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand, and if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So there you go. Again, another pretty good combat trick. It's instant speed, so you can always get at least the top ability, and sometimes you get the bottom ability as well. Bloodfire Mentor, a 0/5 for 3 mana, and for 3 mana you can tap it and you draw a card, then discard a card. So if you're looking for some kind of loot effect, here it is. Alright, Archer's Parapet. I saw this card a couple times at the pre-release, and it does some work. It is a 0/5 defender, and you can pay 2 mana and tap it, so you can pay a black and 1 colorless, tap it, and target opponent loses 1 life. So late in the game, or at the end of your opponent's turn, boom, you just ping him for 1, ping him for 1. Alright, so here's some more mana fixing. This is for blue-red. It enters the battlefield tapped, and you gain 1 life when it enters the battlefield. So there is a common cycle, an uncommon cycle, and a rare cycle of mana fixers. Alright, so Embodiment of Spring, a 0/3 for 1 mana. So that's a pretty good blocker early on. It can block morph creatures very nicely. And then for green and 1 other, you can tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land, and put that land on the battlefield tapped. And then you shuffle your library. So you're gonna have to, you need 2 colors to get that ability. It's alright if you're looking for a blocker, but it's not super impressive in my opinion. Alright, Mardu Skull Hunter, a 2/1 for 2 mana, enters the battlefield tapped. If you attack with another creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. So early on you might make them discard a card early. They have a lot of options in hand, but later on in the game, if they only have 1 or 2 cards left, maybe a bomb, and you've saved this, you might be able to catch them and have them discard their bomb. So Mardu Hateblade is a 1/1 for 1, and then for black mana it gets Death Touch. So this is very annoying. Any Death Touch creature in this format is very annoying because you do get some pretty cool creatures out, and then having Death Touch on the board just makes you go, oh man. So in the pre-release, it was always sad when my opponent had a Mardu Hate Blade. Alright, diving into the uncommons, we have Armament Core. Armament Core is really good. There is a cycle of uncommons for each clan. So it will have the clan colors and then 2 colorless mana. So this is for Abzan. So we have the Abzan colors and then 2 colorless. And you get a 4/4. And when it enters the battlefield, you distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 creatures you control. So worst case scenario, you put both the counters on this guy, and he is a 6/6 for 5 mana, so that is amazing. And then, best case scenario is you get to pick and choose which creatures get the +1/+1 counter. So depending on what you have on the board, you could have creatures that give other creatures benefits when you have a +1/+1 counter. So you can give a counter to him and a counter to another creature, therefore boosting their abilities, give them lifelink or death touch or first strike or flying or any number of really cool abilities. So yeah, I like Armament Core a lot. Jessi Elder is a 1/2 for 2 with prowess. So whenever you play a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So it has a loot effect. And then there is a cycle of charms. So each clan has their own charm. This is the Sultai charm. And they each have 3 modes, and you choose one. This one says, destroy target monocolored creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So card selection there, because you'll lose 2 cards to gain 2 cards. So you'll have the same amount of cards in your hand, but you got to choose which ones you wanted. So not as good as some of the other charms. It is nice to destroy a creature, however it is a monocolor creature, and while that is not irrelevant, some of the best creatures are multicolors. So I think my first pick in this pack will be Armament Core. It is really, really good. Again, worst case scenario, you get a 6/6 for 5 mana. So once you've kind of done a few picks and know what colors you're going to be in, then you're going to want to start focusing on mana fixers. This one doesn't have any of those colors. It's none of the Abzan colors. So, and actually neither is Wooded Foothills is not part of the Abzan colors either. But yeah, so this is kind of interesting where we're not taking the rare, even though the rare is really good and worth some money. Money drafting does not win you games. So anyway, so here we go. First pick of the first pack will be Armament Core. What do you think? This is going to be a really fun set to dive into, to get to know and to play, and I'm really looking forward to it. So leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this pack. Let me know your experiences at the pre-release, at the release, and any draft experiences. Let's learn Cons of Tarkir together. I'm Sean Penrod, and we'll see you in the next pack.